1000 details, and today we have the Digitakt. It is not a new piece of gear, no, but it's still a very good one after all these years. And I decided to do this video because I want to show you how I use the Digitakt for studio work, also a little bit at live work, so live improvisation, but most of all, how do I build my techno tracks here? This is a very good machine to experiment and to have fun most of all. It's super quick to get ideas going on here, but still, after all these years, this is a very good machine. And plus, Elektron did update the Digitakt along the years, and this last update made this machine really capable of being a hell of a sampler, and most of all, a super complete small format sampler machine where you can build tracks. So for you to have an idea and how good this machine can be, of course it will have a few dependencies that we'll talk about. Pretty much all my latest releases since September last year, yeah, September, November, were all made in the Digitakt. Sure, I recorded some of my synths in the studio. Nonetheless, it was all done here, jammed here, recorded into a 2-track, and they are out there in vinyl and digital. So as you can see, everything is possible with this machine. It's just a matter how much time you want to dedicate to learning it, which is, honestly speaking, I don't go very deep onto this machine, even with the Elektron workflow. I just keep things simple and fun so that I can quickly do stuff with it. And I think that's the best approach, is how to fast write stuff and be able to jam away and have fun. That's the key take here, that at least I see it this way. And I'm gonna show you a little bit how I build stuff and what is the mindset behind what I'm building. And you'll see that I don't do everything that the Elektron workflow offers. I don't do a ton of P-logs, I don't use song mode at all. Like I said, I just keep it simple and try to maximize each sound in terms of effects, mixing, everything, to have something that is good enough to then, on the computer, just give it a little bit of EQ, a little bit of color, and it's done, ready to go for demos or mastering, release, whatever. The first thing that I want to touch is, of course, this is a sampler, so it needs one-shots, loops, whatever. You need to feed it audio into this. I'll have a later video where I'll explain how do I organize this and how do I make things comfortable for me. So this will not be the focus now, but of course that the quality, the kind of sounds, the sounds you put in will of course dictate the outcome of your track. So it's quite important that you spend a little bit of time curating and find sounds that you will love to work with and that you feel something about them. That's the most important thing, is you have to feel them, you have to be happy with those sounds. And most of all, find ways, I found mine, but find ways for you that make sense using this machine. So first, I will start with a kick. We're gonna just go with this kick here, or maybe not. Let's change this. So we come to source, we just hit here, function yes, and then we will get a kick from here. And what I normally do is, you could do function yes, right? That will work perfectly. But what I tend to do is I just put this playing, and I keep changing the samples to hear how it plays from the sequence that I have here. So here it's a very basic 4 to the floor sequence, but still you understand the flow and you feel the tempo, which is very important. Second thing that I look when I do the kick is coming to the amp and understand the decay. Like a good rule will be, when you're gonna use a kick and a bass, always try to work with the decays, because you don't want the kick and bass to fight their frequencies. So normally I just keep my decay not short, but a little bit, so that you have that small boom there still. And later on, when I have everything more or less going, I'll come back to adjust this. So yeah, pretty basic. Overdrive for sure. This machine, the overdrive is very good. I like it a lot. I use it almost in all my sounds. Bring those harmonics over. From all the videos I've been doing and my music, you can feel there's a lot of distortion, overdrive, a lot of stuff that pops out the sounds. So kick is going. Let's go to track 2, which I normally put in as my bassline. Right now I have this pattern here. I'm gonna delete this. I'm just gonna hit 1. And in this case, I'm using a warp machine. So I have here a lot of bass lines that I recorded, stuff that I had from old CDs back from the days that I kept, and thankfully I digitized them so that I could use them nowadays. And I'm glad that I'd done that like maybe 10 years ago, because many of them went to the garbage. They stopped working, those CDs. Plus, I don't have a CD reader or DVD anywhere at home right now. So yeah, warp, and then same way of doing with the kick. I have here my loop to play. So I normally import stuff in 1 bar, so it's 16 steps, right? And I will want them to play. Or sometimes I'll do play with adding more triggers and make it play again. It depends, of course. So let's unmute this. Okay, we have this from the demo track, intro track. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna select another bass line. Okay, why not? Cool. And something that you'll see here, that I will also explain on the how do I organize stuff here. It's a very old trick that producers used back in the days when samplers had very little memory. So what I do normally, for 2 reasons, one of them's memory, space, and the other one to be able to mangle the sample loop, but at the same time to add some greediness, because when you shift 12 semitones up on the loop and then you import it here and you want to play it as originally it was, so you just do -12 on the tune. Something that happens is that you lose a little bit of those high frequencies, and it becomes a little bit greedy, artifacty. There's a lot of artifacts and stuff going on there, which bring an extra grittiness to the sound. Something that I really like, and something that for the sound that I do, the kind of techno that I do, has a lot of do with those textures and that kind of sound. So then again, we select this one. It's cool, I'm not convinced. Let's try a few others. And I just keep this process going, like hearing what I have here until I'm happy with something. So the kick will help me to decide a little bit. Why? Well, this one, why not? Sounds cool. And I normally try to pitch things around by ear, basically, by ear, to make it fit a little bit more. I am not, like I said many times in my videos, I'm not musically trained, but I tend to pitch stuff until I hear something that is good or feels good, like, oh, this feels good. That's the way that I roll. I hope not to offend people who are musically trained, but yeah, that's how I do it. Filter to taste. I tend to cut the high frequencies from the bass line. Here we could do it this way, why not? Let's leave it this way. Amp, same stuff, and this was from the intro track. I always give it a little bit of a longer attack, so just not for the transient of the kick and the bass line to collide, just a little bit slide off, right? Just like, instead of being like this, or like this, sorry, they're a little bit like this, and it will help the sounds live each one in their own place. Bit of delay, let's put the volume here higher, adjust here the mixing. I don't want to modulate anything here. And something that I find really important that helps the workflow and makes you faster is, as soon as you're adding sounds, try to mix them, right? So I use the kick always as the main sound, the pillar. Like, the kick is what sets all the rest of the volumes. So here I already tried to optimize a little bit how much I want to listen to the bass line. If you're not used to this, a cool thing that you can do is you start with 0, okay? You go minus infinite, 0, and you start to bring it up until you're happy with it. Oh, too loud, okay. Come a little bit down. Maybe like this. Yeah, fits. Don't think too much, just hear what you're doing. Hearing is much more important than visually having feedback. That will help you a lot. So we have a kick and a bass here going. Let me try something before moving on to the next sound, because this finishes around here, and maybe if I... Yeah? Maybe. Yeah. Better groove, in my opinion. Why not? And as you can see, it plays and comes back to 0 whenever it hits a step that is lit. Good. So normally what I do afterwards is hi-hats, and I use track 4 normally for the hats. I already have this one here. It's a typical 909 hat. I'm more than fine with it. I have basic stuff. I have my offbeat 4/4 here, and what I'll do is mute. Okay, pitch it. I cut it. I do cut here a little bit. I'm not a person that cuts everything like this. I don't like to do high pass filters and everything, but here, for the sake of stuff, and you don't have a lot of control, I cannot do a shell, for example. I just do this to leave the lower frequency sounds to breathe in there, and a little bit of reverb, not too much. Little bit of overdrive, of course. Adjust the volume here. Can put this higher. And what I'll do is I'll play with the decay a lot of time. By default, when you load something on the Digitakt, it'll be like this, like the whole time will be the note. So if your sample plays like until step 12, it will do this. So what I do is, in this case, I just very small hold, and then this way I can play with the decay. And while I'm doing this, because I find it, at least in the way that I produce, that playing with the decay of hats and even sounds and synths do help create tension or more energy, whatever. So it's a good way to know and experiment while you're doing this, because you generate ideas in your head when you'll be jamming. And I say this because all my tracks are jams. I barely record like a loop and then compose on the computer. I jam everything away. For me, it's the best way, honestly, because it will have that human touch. You'll make mistakes, and you turn those mistakes in something very pleasant or nice surprises that make it more humane in a way. At least that's what I believe in, and that's what I try to do when I'm doing my music. So I want this to play later on the song. But in the beginning, when I'll throw in the hat, I want it to be short because I want to tell a story. I want it to be progressing and everything. Poor elephant, it was upside down. By the way, do you like my city influencer table? Cow and elephant will join us today here and maybe in the future. Good, back to this. So we have kick, bass and hat. And normally what I do next is I'll use track 5 and 6 normally for adding percussion, loops of percussion or rhythms or stuff like that. I'll use stuff, and then again I'll use stuff that I did myself, some from the old CDs that I had, some stuff that I buy in Loop Cloud because I use Loop Cloud to manage the Digitakt, and as a bonus they give you credits so you can use them. By any mean I am advertising for Loop Cloud, okay? It's just there, it's convenient, I use it, and why not spend the credits? There's actually quite a lot of quality stuff that you can get there to then mangle it in your own way and use it. So same stuff, it will be a loop, so 16 steps, it's here. Let's go to the source page. I'm gonna unmute this, and I want to open my filter here. We are -12 or original supposed tone of this, and let's change this sound here. So let's see what we have here. There's some cool stuff. I like this. Nice, let's see. -12. And the cool thing about doing what I do is that, at least for me, again, for me, this is my workflow. It doesn't mean that you don't need, you can do this for sure if it helps you, but it's all very subjective here, right? I'm explaining my workflow that can inspire you to find yours. That's the idea here. So original one is cool, for sure, I'll use it, but I also like with higher pitch sound here. It's cool, I like it. I'm gonna leave it like this, so -7 here. I'll keep my filter normal low pass, but what I'll do here, and this is two things that I normally do. One of these tips will come later also in a video of 5 tips that I apply here to make this video shorter and you can then see in depth. So first thing is, on this kind of loop that I have here, the percussion doesn't have a low end, but I always try to cut a little bit of that possible low end, again, to have space on my 1 and 2, which is kick and bass, and give room for other stuff to happen. The synth might go there as well, so we just keep the house organized, right? That's the way I like to call it. Let's organize the house. And another cool thing that I use a lot here, it's this, let's call it an FX, the sample rate redux. And what it will do, it will reduce the sample rate, so it will bring stuff down from, let's say, 48K until, I don't know, let's say 36, 32, 30, 18K, right? So this gives an extra grittiness to the sound, and it puts more artifacts in the sound. And this, for the music I do, it's amazing. I wanted to curse here, but I'm gonna keep things as they are. It's really, really good. So I always come here, especially for sounds that are more in the mid and high frequencies. I tend to do this a lot, which is bring up the sample rate reduction. And let's hear it. I found a cool thing, and this is why experimentation leads you to cool stuff, which is this does change the sound quite dramatically, right? So one thing that you can do is you just hit record and play, and you can record your movements, right? And from a simple loop with the sample reduction, I have something new here. As you can see here, I have what they call triggerless trigs, which is, it's a trigger, but it's not triggering anything. And I've added something cool to this track, something extra. Then I'll come to the amp, and in this case, again, I'll just give it a little bit of a longer attack here, so around 3 here. We'll bring up my decay time, and then see how much I want of this to play. Around here is cool for me. And as you can see, also playing with the decay of the loops can also generate new stuff. So it's a cool way to, I'm not gonna say create new sounds, but create new rhythms with this. All these small details do count. And something that I do here is adding a little bit of effects, so delay and reverb. In my opinion, again, poor elephant, in my opinion, I think it's a must-do. Pretty much all techno, all simple stuff, many times come from the delays and adding delays. I'm not saying that I add delay to everything in my tracks, no, I don't do that. But delay helps create you more textures, more cool sounds in this. So delays, it's something that I'll talk in my tips video, but yeah, I love to add delays. So good. And normally I want to spice things a little bit more, right? So I normally will use track 6 again, as I've told you, as my extra percussion track, let's call it this way. At least it's the way that I think. Let me add an extra percussion. So I come here, and the way that I do this on the Digitakt is, instead of using the warp mode on the loop that I have here, right? I use the slice machine, and I use a very cool trick, which is randomize the triggers that are here. So it will play different slices of the loop that I got loaded in. So before I unmute this, as you can see here, if you press twice source, you'll have your loop and these bars here, which is cutting on the transients, right? And you can add even more slices, like from 4 slices to 64. This is already too much for me. I normally keep it at 8, 16, depends on the sound, but let's put it on 16. And let's go out of here. And what I'll do normally is I'll come here, you see this, and I will randomize this. I just put a few triggers here and there, normally in places that I don't have sounds playing, some I have them play. So I'll just add a few triggers here. Okay, all good. And what I'll do is I'll press yes, and it opens this menu, which has create linear locks or create random locks. And what I'll do is create random locks. And as soon as I unmute this, you see that when it hits the triggers here, it's playing different parts of this loop, so different slices. And I can come here and say, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this one as well. Okay, why not this one? But I'm gonna change stuff here. So let's put this at... Actually, at -12 it's cool. And the other thing is, I keep my length at 1, so this means that it will play in between two slices. If you increase this value here, it will play a little bit longer, but I keep it at 1. Very short stuff. It's I'm adding a little bit of details here and there on the sound. Nothing that crazy. Filter, again, same stuff. I cut it here. Sample rate reduction as well. Must do for me. Amp. I'll increase the decay. I'm gonna increase the attack as well. I'll add reverb for sure, and let's see how the delay goes here. Yeah, I like this. See, just adding a little bit of delay adds not only texture, but also with extra groove and extra sounds coming on. So I'm here. I'll do two things now before jumping into a synth line or a phrase sound, a catchy thing. So I'll go to my channel 3 and I'll load the clap. I do like claps a lot, so I already have this one here loaded from the intro track. I like to do four on the floor claps as well, and I'll bring it in. Okay, it's playing. I'll just adjust the volume, the tune. This is a 909 clap as well. I'll adjust perhaps the filter, a little bit of resonance here, perhaps. Nice. Overdrive. And this one I'll cut to as well, because I might want this one to be shorter. If I'm using a different clap sound that might be very long, I can control it here. No delay here. Increase the volume on the amp page. And what I'm doing, I'm just no modulation. I'm just setting the correct volume, and it's fine. I already heard it. I can play a little bit with this and say, of course it will be louder here. Also the compressor is working. We'll talk about the compressor. Okay, fine, good. This will come into my track a few times. It's not a sound that we'll be playing constantly. And after 3, I'll go to 8, where I have my ride. In this case, I think this is a ride that I purchased back in the day that I got the rhythm. So in 2014, as soon as it came out, I bought it. They had like a 909 pack, so I got that right there. It's really good. So same stuff again here. Okay, a little bit more reverb, maybe a little bit more decay, overdrive, reset the volume of the track. Perfect. Good. And I'm already having ideas in my head while I'm doing this, right? I'm kind of jamming the thing. So, for example, the way that I will put this one with these sounds will be, let me put the track volume to 0, turn on the channel, and slowly bring it in. And go this way. So fine, we pretty much already have something going on here. Let's do a small pause and recap some things, right? In my head, in my process, I found a logical way to build up a track, right? The way that I think is kick and bass are my foundations. I do sometimes change this. I explained that on the sec track video that I did. But normally I start always with the kick and the bass. I'll say 8 out of 10 times I do this. Sometimes I start with the kick and a synth and then build up on that. But that's why I start. First one will be kick, second one will be bass, 2 of my most important sounds in my track. I will say that the third one will be the synth for sure. So that's what I'll do. 1 and 2, starting with these 2, build a foundation here, go to close, open, a hat, some sound that sounds like a hat, just to have a little bit of percussion and feel a little more how the groove is and how things look like or sound like from the low end to the high frequencies. Then I'll add up percussion loops. So I add my perc loops, one playing full one on slices to add a little bit of cool sounds playing or whatever. I always have good results with this, so this is why I use it. And it's a fun way also to spice things up. Then I'll come in and add my clap and my ride. Sometimes 3 is not a clap, it could be any other percussion sound like a tambourine or a conga or whatever I find cool to put here. And I'll say that in pretty much a few minutes, as long as you have sounds that you like here to play with, and that I don't even say that you know those sounds, because I don't remember not even half of the sounds that are here, okay? But as long as you know that you loaded cool stuff that you will be happy to work with, right? Stuff that when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, this is cool. Oh, and I like this one. Oh, this is a good sample, a good loop. Of course, in the context of what you're building. If you have that, it will be very fast and very pleasing. You should not massacre yourself here trying to build up whatever craziness. So that's just me adding a little bit of notion that's what's going in my head and what is the process. The next step that I want is to bring in a synth line. And I do this 2 ways. Most of the time, and this is a tip on the tips video that I'll put there, is I'll try to play the synth part by hand. So I'll show you later. Or if I'm not in the mood or not finding anything that suits that track or whatever the reason is, I also have here a few synth loops. And on the intro track, you were hearing a synth loop. I'll basically will do the same stuff as I do, let's come track 7, as track 5, 6, and 2, so bass, percs. Just put a trigger on 1. Again, I always bring 16-step loops. You can use until 64. And basically, I'll do the same stuff, which is I go to my track 7, I'll put things to play. In this case, let's use the synth that I had loaded here from the beginning as an example, because I prefer the way of playing stuff myself. I think it's more important to explain that part, and this is basically the same as the others, but let's do it. I'll come to my filter, leave it open. Here we have our synth. Same exact stuff, it's a loop, so -12 it's the default sound. Oh, this one has, feels like it's like tape warbling or some stuff when I change the pitch, which is cool. But let's say that I'm happy with this one. Same stuff, a little bit of reverb, a bit of delay, filter this a little bit. Sample rate redux. Okay, this one works well. Actually, with the synth parts and the bassline, I don't play much with the sample rate redux. Sometimes with the bassline from 0 to 3, 4, depends. Again, I'll go by ear. And the synth, normally it's the same stuff, but I'll go higher because you'll find. Not this, of course, but it adds some extra stuff here that I might enjoy. So then again, same idea, same process. And if I like something here, I'll come play with the filter of the synth, because the filter and of course the decay time, as you can see, already changed a lot. More like this. So the filter and the decay time will also help me shape the sound. While I'm jamming, I'll be able to create different emotions and different build-ups with just the filter. And my idea here is building memory and think, oh, the filter sounds like this, like this, like this, when I play around with it. So again, it's me experimenting just to create memories in my head. See, already adjusting the hi-hat sound because it's sounding too low with the synth. Same here with this and same here with this. Back to number 7. Good, works perfectly. Let's add some movement in this, why not? Filter envelope. Adjust to taste as well. And just experiment with stuff. Don't be afraid to experiment. That's the way you'll learn faster. It's experimenting and doing mistakes. It's the fastest way to learn. Yeah, why not this way? Longer decay. Nice. Back to 0. And from this point on, I already have a track going. I could perfectly jam this away. Oops, I forgot that I had this muted. And I could play with the delay here. Experimenting again, just to know where I can go with this. But let's stop here. But what I want to show is the way that I do this, which it's the most common way for me. I'll come here, I'm gonna delete this. And for this, I normally tend to use, let's load something here. I tend to use one-shot synths. What I do is I come here for the one shots. Let's do number 4, for example, right? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go and open the keyboard menu. So you press Function and Track, and you have the keyboard menu. We can select a scale here. Let's go to Iwato, for example, Japanese scale. And you have 2 modes. You have the keyboard, normal keyboard, as you can see here. Basically, it's a keyboard more or less, or you have the fold keyboard or the folded keyboard, which will immediately put you all the keys you have to play and the octaves. So as you can see here, I have various octaves, which is cool to play with the sounds. And get out of here, have my son play and play a few notes along. Try to find things that I found cool, that I think and find them cool. Again, I'm not musically trained. I'll reinforce this. What I'll be doing, and you'll hear that, is I'm trying to find cool tones, right? Tones that fit with all the rest of the track, and experiment with them. Oh, this tone is cool. This one, oops, sorry there. This one is cool. That one is not cool. And I start to build up some muscle memory and then try to play some stuff here. Different thing, and I didn't mention, I'll do it now, is that for one-shot sounds, like a kick, a clap, a hat, one-shot synth, I never apply the +12 pitch on the computer and then load up here with 12 semitones up and then reduce. No, here I'll just put them as they are. One-shots normally are very small, so I'm not worried about memory consumption. So what we'll do here basically is try this. First thing that I'm gonna do is change this to one shot, or else it will play very funny stuff here. And hit play. Okay. I filter. Good. Let's function yes. I like this here. Let me reduce an octave here. I'm just, like I told you, I'm just experimenting stuff. Yeah, not convinced by this sound, honestly. Yeah, I like this one. Why not? And two things here. I'll go deeper into this into the tips video. You just can come here to quantize, and if you want things by the grid, sure, or if you don't want them, you just remove it to 0. I normally try to play in between full quantized and not quantized, but for the sake here, let's do this. And maybe I played this a little bit off. And maybe the idea was let's see. Oops, sorry. Bit of delay here. Let's use the filter envelope here. Let's try something crazy here. Reverse mode play. Yeah, why not? Let's get out of chromatic keyboard. Back to our mutes. Adjusting again the volume of the hats. They were too low. While I'm doing this, I'm like pre-jamming, so I'm getting ideas into my head. Let me see something here on number 6. I think I want to give some LFO to the panning of number 6. So, okay, here we go. Not as fast. Yeah, so this way I'm separating a little bit more the sounds and make them more hearable. Good. What is going through my mind is, okay, I see how I can make maybe a short break or a break. How can I introduce something? How can I remove a sound, for example? And all of this will help me on the jam. It doesn't mean that I'll apply everything that I've done here, experiments on my jam, but I get those ideas, right? I'll have a notion where things go. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I don't go full on crazy like, whoa, let me use everything in power of the Digitakt to make a sound. No, it's not because you know this machine by heart and that you know every single function that you'll make an amazing track. That's not the thing here. It's much more how you will play these sounds, how you will glue these sounds, and how you'll make them sound and interact between them. Just to finalize before we close in on this, if you come to function, press function and master, you'll open the compressor. I use the compressor here for doing two things. One of them is to glue all the sounds. And I have to say that the Digitakt compressor is very good, but also it adds a little bit of color and more body to the sound. So I appreciate that. I have here a few, I have here a few settings. Nothing crazy, like ratio for little bit of shelving for the sidechain on the low end, makeup gain a little bit, more compressor, less dry, but still dry. Not totally parallel compression, but kinda. And of course, a longer attack, so I don't want it to cut my transients, and a fast release so that it doesn't hold stuff there as much, and the threshold to taste. These are my settings. It doesn't mean, well, the attack and release, if you're using it as a master compressor, yeah, that will make some sense to be this way. Of course, depends on from person to person again, but it is what it is. But try to find something that you like as well here, because that will help your sound get more in shape and come out more alive when you hear this. I played with this quite a few times on live PAs, on very good live PAs, and yeah, it screams, it goes nuts, especially with the compressor turned on. I don't use anything else outside of this when I'm playing live on a good PA, on a club or a festival or whatever. So it sounds good. That's the full idea here. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you wish to support me, like and subscribe. Check my affiliate links below. Check my Patreon, where I'll have the sounds from this jam. Sorry, I'm so used to gems. I'll have the sounds from this video there for you to get them, and much more content that I think interests. If it will interest you, if you are like me, like synths, like to discover new stuff, talk music, talk ideas, it's a place to go. And of course, it will help the channel. Check out the next videos. I'll be doing a few more videos about the way I use Digitakt, so that it can inspire you to find your own methods and your own way. Until the next time, see ya. Let's hear a little bit more of this, and bye-bye.